Hi, I'm Matt with eTrailer, and today we're talking the Rhino Rack Roof Rack on our 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, this is going to be a great option for you if you're running out of space in the back of your Jeep, whether you have a lot of people back there, a lot of luggage, or you have any longer items that can't fit in the back, and you have to put it somewhere else, like on top of your roof. There's also a system that's going to have a pretty nice look on top of your roof, and it's going to be actually pretty easy to take on and off. So let's take a closer look at it. The one we have today is going to be a fixed mounting rack. So what that means is the place where we have them right now is going to be the only place that they can sit because they're going to bolt onto your flush rails. If you're not too sure, if you do have flush rails, you're not too sure what type of roof you do have, you can plug in your vehicle's information into our fit guide to find what's going to be the best fit for you. This is going to be comprised of 3 components. We're going to have our crossbars on top. We're going to have our towers beneath that, and that's going to connect to our fit kit. So we're going to start with the crossbar. This is going to be a 49-inch aero crossbar. 49 inches is going to be the area that's going to be stretching all the way across your roof. And what the aero means is just going to be the shape of the bar. This shape is going to allow it to be more aerodynamic to help reduce wind noise. And above that, we're going to have this weather strip. That weather strip is also going to help reduce wind noise and keep any debris out from inside of here. That weather strip is covering our T-channel. And what that T-channel is used for a lot of times is for T-channel accessories. And that's going to be items that just sit on top of your bar. It's not going to be anything that has any clamps to it, because in some cases you might want something just sitting on top of your roof, whether you don't have a lot of clearance underneath the crossbar, or maybe you have a sunroof and you're worried about that sunroof making contact with your bars. We're also going to have another channel right underneath here. We don't have any weather strips on it at the moment because we do keep this down in the shop, and we do use this a lot for demo and test fits, so we just leave it off because it's a little bit easier to work with. But that's going to connect to our towers. The towers are going to have this lock core on the very back of it, and that lock core is going to prevent anyone from coming by and taking this off, because behind that we're going to have a bolt that secures your towers to your fit kit. Your fit kit is going to be bolted on top of your roof, and that's what holds the whole entire system in place. So it's going to have this rubber cap behind it to prevent anything from being scratched up and helps it give more of a clean finish. We can get a few measurements just to see how this is fitting up here. So the first measurement I'm going to get is going to be the distance underneath our crossbars. So in the center, that's going to be just around 2.5 inches, which is pretty alright. If you have any really bulky clamps, it might come close to your roof, but it shouldn't make contact. Now when you should really start thinking about this is if you do have a sunroof up here and it does extend up, it could make contact. So definitely keep an eye on that, or just stick to using your T-channel accessories. And for the total height it's going to add to your roof, that's going to be just about 4 inches. That's actually really nice. That's pretty low profile for a roof rack. But what I recommend is just taking the total height of your vehicle plus your crossbars, and then if you have any gear on top of that, you include that as well, just so you know what areas you can make it under. Next one I want to get is going to be our crossbar spread. I did mention this is a fixed mounting system, so this won't change. And that's going to be about 24.5 inches. So definitely make sure that your gear can accommodate that. Now it's not going to be anything too long. It's going to be more of your standard sized boxes. Any of your really long items, like an extremely long kayak or canoe, might be a little bit hard to get on top of here. But if you take a closer look at the very ends, you'll notice we do have a decent amount of overhang. It's going to be aligned with our car pretty much. You don't have to worry about sticking out too much. But that's going to be a great place to put any items like ski carriers, because it's going to make reaching them a lot easier. Now, if you do have a kayak carrier, and it's probably like more of a smaller kayak, that should fit up here nicely too. Overall, this is going to be a great choice for you because it is a pretty solid fit. when I go to shake it, it's sturdy and it looks pretty factory on top of our roof. And if you're looking for that option that is pretty low profile and easy to take on and off, this is pretty good for that too. If you're looking for something a little bit easier to take on and off, but sits a little bit higher, then I'd recommend the Yakima Sightline Kit. All it's going to be is the same type of roof rack, but only instead of having to take off this end cap and then take off a bolt on each side, all you have to do is take off the end cap and then pull the door open, and that allows you to take off the roof. So you don't have to deal with removing any hardware. But the counterside to that is it's going to stick up a little bit higher. On the bright side though, that also has a little bit more adjustability to it, because with the roof rack crossbar or the Rhino Rack crossbars, you only have so much room for those towers to fit into the channels underneath, while the Yakima one has one continuous one that goes all the way across. So you can even upgrade to even longer crossbars with the Yakima. But if you're not looking for anything too crazy, just something that's going to sit pretty factory or pretty close to your vehicle, then I think this is going to be just fine for you too. If you're curious about how we got this on here, just stay tuned and we'll walk you through the process. To start off the installation, we're going to lay everything out. So up front, we're going to have our 49-inch crossbar. Next to that, we're going to have the towers. And with the towers, you're going to have your end caps. And then finally, we're going to have our right and left fit kits. Along with that, they'll come with a rubber adapter too. Right here, we're going to have the hardware that'll help get your fit kits in place on your roof. You're going to have some included tools. The first one is going to be this tool or key for your crossbars to take off the end caps. We're going to have the security Allen key, and you're going to have this key too. What I recommend grabbing, so you can use all of this, is going to be a wrench. And I recommend grabbing a tape measure, just make sure everything is even. And we're also going to need either a flathead screwdriver or a trim panel tool. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can find it on our website, or you can just opt to use the flathead. We're going to start off with the fit kit. So to do this, we're going to grab this kit that has the L on it for your left side. So that's going to go on your driver's side. And we're going to grab this rubber adapter. You notice there's a lot of holes at the very top of this. Those holes are going to match up with the holes we have on here and these nibs. So what I like to do to get these together is grab that rubber adapter, push it underneath, and we want to get this metal tab to fit underneath this lip. So after when that's underneath the lip, it's attached, we can start lining up those nibs. Those nibs are going to line up with these 4 holes. And you're just going to apply pressure to the back of it until they poke through. And once this is complete, we can do that for the rest of them. Before we attach this to our roof, we're going to need the other hardware that goes with this. So we're going to have these 2 bolts, and you're going to use your included Allen key to get these in place. The location is just going to go in these 2 holes on the side, and they'll attach and screw in to your flush rails. Now, you're going to have these other bolts too. They're going to be your hex bolts. And where these are going to go, they're going to go on the very top and bolt into place. But we won't be using these until we put our towers into place. So if you have any of these, just make sure you don't put them on the side. When you come up here, you'll notice there's going to be some fasteners in place blocking those holes we need to access. To take those off, we're going to grab that trim tool or that flathead screwdriver. We're going to have 2 sets of holes we can use. So there's going to be the first set right here, and next to it, past this anchor point, there's going to be 2 more. The ones we're going to be using today are the ones closest to us. But if you have anything that's going to be pretty wide, then you might opt in to use those wider options. That's just going to depend on what of gear and accessories you have. But to take this off, it's pretty easy. All I got to do is get my trim tool underneath that fastener, have it grab on, and then apply pressure. And it'll pop right out. We're going to grab that fit kit now, making sure you have the right one. the one that sits L on the driver's side, the one that has an R on it on the passenger side. And we're going to line this up with the 2 holes on the side of our flush rail. Make sure those bolts are lining up. And a trick I like to do with this is apply some pressure to the top of this so that rubber adapter that we put on it kind of flattens out a bit. Once it's doing that, we can start tightening these down. I like to start with my hand first. Just get them hand tight so they're grabbing on. After when both are hand tight, then we can grab our included Allen key and tighten them down the rest of the way. Once this is on there all the way, you can repeat this process on the other side. With our fit kits in place, we're going to come back down to a crossbar. We're going to start by removing the end cap, twisting it and pulling it right off. Oop, gotta twist it out of the way. And you can remove it. And to get our towers in place, we want to make sure this block is loose, because the block is going to go right into that channel. If it's not loose yet, you just flip it around, grab this Allen key, and just loosen it up a bit. So we have a little bit more space underneath here now. I'm going to line it up now with the channel and push it in place. Sometimes you might have to reposition it underneath. Till it grabs on. Just kind of roughly place it where you think it's going to sit. Grab that cap. And then we'll just repeat this on the other side. With them both on, we're going to tighten both sides, but not all the way. We just want it to be enough where it's going to grab on to our crossbars, so not going to be sliding all over the place. But we still have the ability to adjust this if this isn't the correct fit for our roof. And we can finally start putting this on top of our roof. If you have a friend, it's going to make it a little bit easier, but if you don't, it's perfectly capable too. We're just trying to line it up with those fit kits that we already have up top. You'll notice we still got quite a bit of a gap here, and that's why I didn't tighten it down all the way yet, so I could just adjust it like this. And right now it's still going to be a little bit off, so all I'm going to do is, since we have more overhang on this side, I'm just going to hold this tower down and push on it some until it's somewhat even. And if you want this to be exact, we can take out the tape measure and measure from our tower to the end of the crossbar and just make sure it's even on both sides. We're going to grab that hex bolt that I was talking about earlier, and we're going to finally use it now. We're going to run it through this hole, the bottom of our tower, and that's going to go through our fit kit too, into our rails. Now this one can be a little bit tricky to get to because there's not a lot of room to put my hand underneath there. But once we do get everything lined up, I'm just going to hand thread it to begin with. And once this is hand tight, I can start using my wrench. And we're just going to tighten this down enough where it's going to feel pretty tight. And once this is completed, you can repeat this on the other side. We still need to tighten this tower to the crossbar completely, because right now it's still kind of loose. So we're going to take this Allen key and find that bolt underneath here. I'll have to use my finger to find it first. Once I've found it, I'm going to line everything up and tighten it the rest of the way down. Now if you are having issues with this, because it can be kind of tricky, you can undo those bolts we already tightened down and just flip this over and tighten it that way. The problem with that though is when you flip it over, things can kind of shift and give you a different placement of where your towers sit on your crossbar. And the final step is just going to be putting on this end cap. We'll just line it up till it sits on there. Take your key and lock it into place. That looks pretty secured. And then I'll just give it a good shake test, make sure everything feels pretty good. And if it does, then you load it up with whatever gear you have and go take it on the road. But that's just a look at the Rhino Rack Roof Rack on top of our 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Thanks for watching.